Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here. Thank you so much for joining us today for Share and Care with Sandy. Our host, Sandy Chernoff, is going to be here today. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us on this wonderful and terrific Tuesday. Today, we're going to be talking about culture, and she's going to be leading that discussion with us today. So please be aware, everyone, that we are going to be live not only on Facebook Live, but also YouTube, and now we're going to be on Facebook Live too as well. So Facebook, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube will be on the live stream today. I forgot, my thing's not pulling up. Carla, can you do the intro for me, because it's not pulling up for me?
Sure. As you log on, feel free to comment where you're logging in from, and feel free to catch us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. And if you're watching on the replay, be sure and indicate replay and where you are coming in from. We will be monitoring the chats on LinkedIn. So feel free to comment. We're allowing 10 people on the call, so feel free to log into the Join Us tab on the LinkedIn profile to join us live, and we'll also be monitoring the comments on the Restream live in LinkedIn as well. So Sandy's going to talk to us about the importance of maintaining a positive culture in the workplace for longevity of your business. So take it away, Sandy.
Thank you, Carla. All right. Well, the thing is about an internal culture is that an organization that doesn't have one that's positive, respectful, supportive, encouraging, and acknowledging is going to struggle, because when people don't feel appreciated and don't feel like they fit in somewhere where they're comfortable and respected, probably means that they may not stick around that long. And turnover in a business is very expensive and very disturbing to your customers, because when a customer or a client comes into your practice or your business and they see the same person at the front desk or inside somewhere, and that person welcomes them and even sometimes knows their name, and welcomes them by name, then they feel like they belong. And that's something that's very important, because customer service is one of the things that can help you stand out from your competition. If you have excellent, consistent customer service and your people always feel like they are well served and well taken care of and appreciated, then they're going to keep coming back. And in addition, they'll probably tell other people about how they are treated, and that can bring you more business. So it's very important. And if your employees, the people that work in your organization, feel appreciated and are happy, they're going to be far more likely to be giving good customer service to your clients, because they are proud of where they work and they want the people who come in there to know that this is a good place. And so they're going to be sharing that and making sure that they're having a good time whenever they come, because people remember the first time they ever come to your business. They remember the last time they were there. And they remember what happens to them on repeated visits. And if it's consistent and it's generally good, they're going to keep coming back. And when people work in an organization where they feel appreciated and where they get to be challenged sometimes, because that keeps them engaged. And if, for example, the support means that from time to time they're offered training so that they can enhance the skills they already have, and maybe gain some new ones, so that down the road, perhaps they could even get a promotion, or expand some of their duties so that they can, just have more to do and be more interested, because, it gets boring after a while if you're always doing exactly the same stuff day after day after day. So if you get to do something new from time to time, particularly if it's something that you might like to do, and you let your superior know that this is something you're interested in, and that's maybe why they've made the investment in you, then, you also feel very valued when your organization pays to get you some training. And, when you come into an organization that has a poisonous culture, it's palpable. When you walk into that place of business, it's in the air. It just doesn't feel comfortable. As opposed to when you walk into a place where everybody likes each other and they're having fun and they're enjoying their work and so on and so forth, then that's a place where you're going to feel comfortable. And so you're going to want to come back. And that's just the importance. In addition, when you have a good culture, you're going to have very little turnover because people aren't going to want to leave. When they feel valued and appreciated and when they enjoy their work, because statistics have shown us, both in the United States and in other places, that by and large, about 70% of the population, are you ready for this, hate their jobs. And a lot of people get stuck because, unfortunately, they need the money to support their family, whatever. And so a lot of times they stay in jobs where they're really not happy and they're not comfortable. And it's very harmful to them, because they're stressed out and they're anxious, and that really affects your immune system and your whole life in general. And so it's really not good to stay in a situation where you're constantly stressed out and unhappy and so forth. On top of which, can rub off on your family, which isn't good either.
It starts to impact your health as well.
Absolutely. So it's very important for anybody who's running a business to make sure that that internal culture is one that is positive, that that your people feel, again, respected, supported, encouraged, and acknowledged for the contributions that they make, and also that they feel listened to. Because a lot of times we can miss opportunities if we don't listen to our people, because they're the ones that are doing the work. And sometimes they may come up with an idea that will make it more efficient or make things go faster or whatever. And if they don't feel listened to, then either they won't share it, or if they do and nothing happens, they'll quit sharing ideas. And again, that means that we miss opportunities, and we don't want to do that. We want to encourage them to share these ideas, and we want to give them credit when they do, and we want them to feel that they can make these suggestions and they will be listened to, and those suggestions will be considered, because otherwise, they don't feel like they're contributing, and they don't feel a part of the bigger picture. And
everybody likes to feel part of a team. They want to feel heard, and then that when they feel like their suggestions are heard, or their questions are answered, or things are addressed, and it's a great place to come to work. They have a stake in the game. They feel like that they're a participating partner in the business.
Happy belated birthday to you, Tyson. I hope you did something fun yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it was a pretty eventful day, and I'm paying the price for it.
I don't think we need to know.
No, TMI,
that's all I'm gonna say is I'm paying the
TMI.
price for it.
Yeah. Us older folks can't handle that TMI, okay?
Yeah.
So what do you think, Carla, about cultures?
Well, I think it's very important, and it's not always positive in all workplaces. The place that I worked with for almost 14 years, they had a very positive culture, and it was a great place to work. And I would have still liked to work there. They just were not hiring any nurse practitioners when I got out of school. So, and then I went elsewhere, and it can make or break your day when you're spending so much time at work, more so than you are at home. You need to have a positive culture, and you can play a part in fostering that positive culture as well. You shouldn't sit back and actually wait for an employer to actually make everything rosy for you. You need to be also bringing your best self to the workforce, and being at your best at work, and also bringing a very positive attitude to the workplace.
I agree.
And also being willing to help other people, and not just do your job, because there's no I in team, but help other people, even if even if it's, depending on your industry, if you're waitressing and the bus boy is slammed, then who's to say you can't clean your own table? I used to turn over exam rooms just because I knew it would help with the flow, and I had no problem doing it, because it needed to be done to keep things flowing.
Well, that's what teamwork is, Claudia.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are paying attention, Carla, and they see that something could be done that would make things easier, and there doesn't seem to be anybody else to do it, even if it's the team leader, it doesn't matter who it is, but it just helps to keep things moving smoothly. And if the team leader, even does some things like that, that's going to send a very strong message to the team. And it's just a matter of understanding that, you set the tone. It's the old walk the walk, talking the talk isn't good enough. You've got to demonstrate that you're committed to this teamwork, that we do things collaboratively, that we help each other, that we make things work well because we are a team. And it just works better. I mean, when I was practicing, sometimes, when I took x-rays, this was before we had digital x-rays.
Uh-huh.
We actually had films, and we had to go into the dark room and, put them into one solution. And then after a certain period of time, you set the timer and they got to be changed into the fixer. And, so sometimes I couldn't do it because I was in the middle of something. So, I would ask if somebody could do it, and someone else would go and take care of it. It's just a matter of that's what a team does. And if I had a cancellation, I wouldn't sit around and twiddle my thumbs. I'd go into the front office and see if they needed charts pulled or charts filed or patients called or, what did I care? It's no big deal to help out. And also it makes the time go faster. Otherwise it's bloody boring. So, you might as well go and help out and do something. So Chris, what's your experience been?
Well, my experience has been Sandy and Carla and Tyson for working for others for over 35 years. I'm just going to put it in a general sense. I'm not just going to put any one kind of box in for one particular group. A lot of places I've worked at, the teamwork truly hasn't been there for me. And everyone should be able to just let go of their self to a certain degree and be able to say, it's not about me. If we're a team, like Carla said and you said, Sandy, there's no I in team. And just let that go. My father taught me at a very early age that even if you're in a role of a supervisor who doesn't really go to a store in every given week or whatever, and you're just basically there to make sure everything's running smoothly, the numbers look good, everything like that. What he's done many a times, even as a supervisor, he would go in there, wash dishes or get on the line, whatever needs to be done, because he knew that was what needs to be done. Because it's just like anything else. If you take that link out of that chain is not going to be a unified chain. It's going to be broken. So you got to be able to have that plugged in right to where it revolves and it flows, just like a bicycle. Without that bicycle chain, the bicycle ain't going to run. And I know that. So everyone has a place, and every place has a thing. So that's the way I look at it. So when you do it from that standpoint that, hey, I'm here to help and serve Carla, I'm here to help and serve Sandy, I'm here to help and serve whoever else. And I've told people many times this, ladies, if you let go of what you fear to lose, then you have nothing to fear and you have nothing to lose. So it's about servant leadership, understanding one's place, and just make it not about you, and just put it in that context.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think it matters if the team leader is sweeping the floor or washing dishes or whatever. If something needs to be done and everybody else is busy doing their thing, well then sure, pick up the broom or pick up whatever and take care of it. I don't see why that should not be something that happens. And it's just a matter of understanding. I mean, again, sometimes when I needed help doing a perio charting, because it's hard to measure and record and whatever. Sometimes it would be one of the dentists that would do it for me, because if they had a minute, they'd come over and they'd take care of it. And that's really what a full team is like. You help. And that's one of the reasons why one of the things we did in the dental office, and I think this is done in other places, is we did a lot of cross training. So in other words, people learned how to do certain things that maybe weren't necessarily within their bailiwick, if you will. But then if something came up, they could do it. So, that way everybody had the opportunity to pick up the loose ends when it was necessary because they knew what to do. So whether it was, phoning up and ordering things or cleaning up in the sterilizing room or, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. But if we felt that there was something that needed to be done and we noticed and we had time to do it, then, you go and do it. Again, it's not a big deal. And I think particularly when the boss rolls up their sleeves and does stuff that are sort of lowly kinds of jobs, it sends a very strong message to the rest of the team. Boy, look at that. He's sweeping the floor, or he's bringing in the supplies or whatever. It doesn't matter. But it sends a very strong message that we're a team. And wherever the slack is, somebody picks it up. And it doesn't matter who it is. It's just a matter of paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that reminds me of years and years and years ago at a practice that I worked at, and nobody liked to clean the instruments and process them. And no lie, it was like dishes piled up in a kitchen sink. And I won't go into detail what type of practice it was, but it was just like, okay, come on. And I was just like, if no one's going to do them, I did them. I said, This is ridiculous. This is petty. In the time that y'all are going back and forth about it's not my job and I'm not going to do them and so-and-so else never does them, it's like children fighting at home. It's like I just rolled up my sleeves and started washing. I said, this is totally ridiculous.
True.
And I wasn't even in a management position. I just thought, look, this is ridiculous because people are walking by and seeing that in the lab, these instruments are not processed. They're just piled up in the sink and it looks bad.
Well, you probably might need them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
But ladies, let me ask you something. Should we as a team and also leadership in a team dynamic, should we be cognizant of the fact that, let's say, if you have X amount of people in one particular area and X amount of people in another area, should we not try to burden, like if you just like put it to two departments kind of thing? You have advertising and you have social media. If you have more people in one place versus another, do you expect that other place to try to pick up the workload of someone else's work and give it off to them? And I've seen this clear as day, and my father taught me this, is that if you have, like, say, 5 people on the line, and you only have one dishwasher, you're not going to expect to get all that stuff done by one person. You would think someone will come up and say, hey, let me help you out with that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it all depends on the job, because some jobs you cannot cross-train, but many times you can cross-train. And it's about working as a team together for the benefit of the patients or the customers or wherever. And where there is a opportunity to cross-train people, I think that you ought to be able to do that. Like one of the jobs that I had when I was an office nurse is I actually learned how to check patients in and out. So that way, if there was somebody that was, I was always there early. And so if, somebody was filling in for somebody, or they were out and maybe they lived across town and they were trying to come to our office and got stuck in traffic, when patients started rolling in at 7:45, I could check them in. I could pull the paperwork that needed to be done, and I could get the process going. And then I knew how to check them out as well, even though it wasn't something that I was actually seeing. And, if they came in and the blood draw person was running behind or wasn't there yet, we'd open up another station and we'd get them in and out, because that was what we were doing. We were there for them, because without your customers, without your patients, you have no business. So you need to do what's necessary to make that work. It's just like in the business I have now. If I don't treat my customers well, I'm not going to have any customers.
Exactly.
It's about their experience. And so if you don't give them a good experience, whether it be a customer in a restaurant, somebody in a medical practice, or somebody in whatever office, and you're seeing clients, if you don't have that, you don't have a business.
No, you don't. And one of the things that we also used to cross-train in was if there was an emergency in the office, and we had certain things that had to be taken care of in an emergency. So, in some situations you might have to phone 911 if it's that serious. But, if somebody needed to take blood pressure, or if somebody needed to, just a million different things, we practiced.
Yeah.
At our team meetings, we would practice, and different people had roles. But what we also said was, well, if Carla's not here today, who's going to do what Carla normally does? So that there were options. And it was the same thing with ordering supplies. We had a running list in the storage room, but it wasn't just one person who could order the supplies. I mean, if you needed something and you saw that there was order whatever's on the list. I mean, who cares? It doesn't matter. But somebody needed to take care of it. And if you have a team, and you notice that something needs to be done and there isn't anybody doing it, and we've got to get it done or we're going to have a problem down the road, then take care of it. And that's where teamwork comes in. If we are a team, we look for things that need to be done. And if nobody seems to be available to do it, and you have the moment right now where you have nothing else to do, then take care of it. I mean, I don't see what difference it makes. Nothing should be below anyone if we're trying to keep things running and rolling and, so on and so forth, and keeping our customers and patients and whatever happy. And if we can do that by doing teamwork and helping each other, it's a win for everybody. It's not a big deal. And that's why I like Chris's thing, if I help you and you help me, then we help we. It's just, and that's what teamwork is.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to pay attention. And if you're not paying attention, you miss what needs to be done. And I don't care who it is. I mean, it can be the team lead who sweeps the floor or makes the phone call, or, what difference does it make if it needs to get done and they have a moment to do it? Why wouldn't they do it? I mean, that's kind of how I looked at it. And, that's why, some of the dentists ended up doing some of these things just because, maybe they had a patient that didn't show up, or maybe the procedure they were doing didn't take as long as the time they had assigned for it, whatever. So they had a moment. They would take care of it. I mean, nobody looked down like, oh, well, how come they're doing that? Whatever. That was never how it got looked at. It was something that needed to be done and somebody had the time to do it. Then you just did it. And that's what teamwork looks like. And when you have a culture where that's how we do, where we help each other and we just take care of the things that need to be taken care of so that everything keeps moving smoothly along, then we're laughing because everything will be fine. And of course, the customers and the patients and the clients, whatever, as long as we keep those things happening, then they don't need to know that it was maybe somebody else who was supposed to do it. Who cares? But as long as their procedure or their service or whatever's happening to them is happening when it was supposed to happen, on time, and so on and so forth, who cares who did what, where, and when? It doesn't matter. As long as we know what to do. And that's why cross-training can be very helpful. And, and then people feel comfortable. Yeah, I can do that. No problem. Sure, I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And I think that in a way, it can be kind of fun because, you get to do some different things. I mean, rarely when I had downtime, and occasionally, patients wouldn't show up. They're sick or they're caught in traffic or, whatever, Carla. So then you've got time. So then you look around to see what can be done.
Oh, so, yeah, I'd rather do that than sit around and do absolutely nothing. That would drive me crazy.
Boring.
Or on your phone doing this?
No. No, we had a policy, no, unless it was an emergency, you weren't on your cell phone.
What? I didn't even, back in those days, I didn't even have a cell phone, Chris. But, it's just,
way back when, we didn't either.
Yeah. So that wasn't even an issue. But it's just a matter of why would you want to sit around and twiddle your thumbs? I mean, how boring is that? better to go and see, does somebody need some help? Do they need help in the front office? Should I go and wash instruments, Carla, and put them through the sterilizer? Whatever.
A paycheck is important, and it's nice to be paid, but it's doubly nice to actually feel like you help somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really what a team is. And, a dental office, a medical office, or, any kind of business, the people that are on the team are working together for this practice or this business, which means that whatever needs to be done. So yes, it may be somebody's responsibility, but if they're busy doing something else and you have a moment or two, then why wouldn't you pick up the slack? I mean, I just don't understand people who don't do that. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. They're not a good team player.
Well, I don't really like the term team player, because it seems like I'm playing so I can get kudos from the boss. I think that is kind of like my idea of what a team player is. And to me, everybody should be a part of the team. Absolutely. And not necessarily, oh, well, I'm a team player because I work well with others, or I play well with others, so to speak. We should all do that.
Exactly, for sure. And I think that, again, that tone needs to be set by the team leader. And, if you see the team leader, as I said, doing things like sweeping the floor or making a phone call or helping somebody else, then what does that say to you? Boy, the team leader did that. Well, I guess we should all be doing those things. Because
I would never ask anybody to do something that I would not do myself.
Exactly. And I think that, we need to look different. Is that your dog?
That's Cosmo.
I mean, we need to be looking at, sort of the bigger picture. That's what teamwork is. You look at the big picture of what needs to be accomplished during the day, or, in the morning, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But if somebody needs some help and we've got a moment or two to help, so why wouldn't you? I mean, to me, it just doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't want to do that. If you're part of a team, then you help the team to accomplish whatever needs to be accomplished to serve our customers, our clients, our patients, whatever. And that means that, we are a good team. And we do play together nicely, Carla.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of conversations that we've had before about putting people in boxes, and that you've got, the people in such a position, and you got somebody as the manager and a director and a president or a VP and all that kind of stuff. I was on a site on Facebook. It was a nurse practitioner site, and one of the nurse practitioners had reached out to the community about a procedure. She was an instructor somewhere, and I can't remember. I know she was at least a nurse practitioner. If not, she had her doctorate. And she was asking for information about a procedure that she wasn't familiar with. She researched it, but really wanted some input from other practitioners or nurses or whatever, anybody in the community. Well, this nurse had gotten on there and she had replied that, well, I've done recovery room and I've taken care of tons of patients with this surgery. I'm only an RN, a registered nurse, but I can give you information about it. And I just wrote back to her and I said, I really appreciate you stepping up to that, but never forget the fact that we are all registered nurses. It's just that some of us went to school longer to get a degree to be a nurse practitioner and take our licensure, or we got a doctorate or a postdoctorate or whatever. We've all chosen to do different things in our profession, but when it comes down to it, we're all registered nurses. I don't care whether you got a 2-year degree, a 3-year degree, 3-year programs aren't anymore, or a 4-year degree. I don't care. We're all in this together. And that reminds me of way back when it was like, you've got the nursing assistants and the licensed practical nurses and things like that. There are LPNs, so licensed practical nurses, that are running their own business that I, as a registered nurse, a quote unquote by licensure, a step up, could never do that. I don't know how to do that. The business that I have was already formulated, so I didn't have to go through all the stuff. I mean, like they're setting up staffing agencies and home care agencies and going through all these credentialings and things like that, where I wouldn't even know where to start, you know? And I'm like, I don't care what level anybody is at. We all have our specialty, and we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And there were way back when I first got out of school, I would have been sunk if it wasn't for the stuff I learned from LPNs and nursing assistants.
Well, and it's all about experience, Carla, and that's another thing I talked about the other day. You know, people come to the table with different experience, and just because they have certain letters beside their name doesn't mean they don't have experience in an area that somebody who has more letters doesn't have. And so, I don't know why we would demean somebody just because they don't have the letters that we have. But if they know how to do something, hey, thanks for showing me.
Or demean ourselves. I mean, this girl was actually putting herself down because she was just a nurse. I said, we're all nurses, you know? Don't let somebody's letters behind their name intimidate you, because you have probably skills that they don't even have. And what you have to offer is a golden piece of knowledge for them.
Exactly.
So you should never discredit yourself for that.
True. And you're right. People do that to themselves. It's so sad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just this, or I'm just that, or I'm just a dental hygienist. I'm not a dental assistant, or I'm not the dentist, you know? I'm just this. And we need to stop putting ourselves down. I mean, Chris and I have totally different fields, and he knows a heck of a lot more about the restaurant industry, you know, and he's like talking away about this, that, and the other, and I'm like, oh, slow down, you lost me there, you know. He knows stuff that I don't even know, so I learn from him, he learns from me, I learn from you, we all learn from each other. It's not a matter of what degrees or initials you have behind your name.
it's about your experience.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said that, Carla, because I was getting to ask that very question. Do we put stock in credence of said positions and said titles in people's names? Team leader, district manager, RN, doctor.
They do in nursing, because they said that that basically someone that had a 2-year degree and clinical experience is sat for the same boards as someone with a 3-year program or a bachelor's program was not considered a professional until they had their bachelor's degree.
Now to me, that's just wrong, because see,
Yeah.
I truly believe in, ladies, experience goes a lot longer and a long way because of where you've been and what you've done. That doesn't give you the title of LPN, RN, dental hygienist, senior dental hygienist. No, it's the experience that gets you to where you go because of, not in spite of, because me and Brian has talked this many times on the phone, is why do we give that authority figure that title or that credence or that said stature and put them on a pedestal? Why do we do that to ourselves? To me, like you said, Carla, so eloquently, we put our legs and pants on one time.
We put our pants on one leg at a time. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just what, and for me, I just can't do that. I granted, the way I'm building out this organization, I know what I am good at, number one, and I tell people right up front, if you're looking for a guy who knows to do charts or spreadsheets or numbers or anything like that, you're looking wrong person, not me. I'm the vision guy of all this.
The visionary, yeah.
Exactly. And see, to me, ladies, you got to give people that room to breathe and say, hey, if this is me, let me be. Let me grow. And again, like I've talked to you guys so much about, if we can be those people who can be that guide on that hero's journey for those very heroes that we know that they can become, number one, and number two, that they are the very leaders that we know that they can be, as such as we can too be as well. The very leaders, ladies and gentlemen, that we need now more than ever before is the one staring us right back in the mirror each and every single day. we can be able to take that step up and say, hey, if no one else is going to do it, by God, Chris is going to do it. And that's what we got to do. We got to set that example to others.
Yeah. Well, the self-limiting beliefs that we impose on ourselves is what holds us back, because that 6 inches between our ears, we believe that we can't do it because we've never done it before. So we're afraid to get out of our comfort zone to actually try something new. And yeah, when you do that, it's like scary as hell, but you do it and you go, wow, I survived that. And you do it again and you survive that. You know, I know the first time I actually got live on a video, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And now it's just like, hey there, you know. But we have those self-limiting beliefs, and what we have to do is we have to also help other people overcome those beliefs and actually show them what we see in them as being a hero to their own journey, to be able to branch out and do more and have that confidence that comes over time, over success. And I don't know if you saw the Mondays with Maxwell. He was talking about success and failure go together.
Oh,
that you can't, you can't succeed unless you fail.
No,
Yeah. So, you know, there's so many people that I have seen the potential in, that you have to show them that, hey, you know, you could easily do this. Let's do it together. Let's grow together. We'll show you how to do X, Y, and Z and learn new things. And hey, versatility is the best thing to have in the workplace, because when it comes down to it, that they're making changes in the workplace, they're going to look at who's the most versatile. But with that comes having the need to set boundaries. You know, a lot of nurses get caught up in that, and that they're like, well, we need somebody to pick up an extra shift. If you don't do it, nobody else will do it. You know, they need to be able to say no, that if they can't do it, they honestly can't do it for whatever reason. They should be able to say, no, I'm really sorry, I can't help you out, and leave it at that without explaining.
Well, and for all
Or if you're working past your 12-hour shift and you're working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you need to either do something to figure out how you can kind of, quote unquote, end your day at 6 and clean up in that hour that's left, or make sure that you're compensated if you're slammed. And stand up for yourself.
See, book learning is a good basis for things, but it's the experience that we gain over time by applying that book learning and seeing, you know, where there are holes, if you will, and so on and so forth. And because in the end, the book learning is a good base, but you gotta grow from it, and you've got to use it to solve different problems. And making mistakes is just opportunities to learn. And, you know, a lot of things. I mean, we would not have airplanes flying in the air if the Wright brothers didn't make a lot of mistakes, you know, and figured out till they figured out what did work. And it's the same thing in any job that you have. You will make mistakes. Human beings make mistakes, but that's okay. Step back and go, okay, I created a problem. What do I do now? Okay, how do I fix it? And the next time I'm faced with that, I'm certainly not doing this again. So what else can I do so that I don't end up with the mess I got now to fix? And it's just a matter of recognizing that, yes, mistakes will be made, but we step back and look at it and decide, I'm not doing that again. So how do I fix this? And then move on. So it's just a matter of, and, you know, especially in medical and dental stuff, I mean, you know, nobody has all the answers. I'm sorry, they just don't. And they're still learning. We're still, you know, learning about all kinds of things because we don't have all the answers. And there are some people that have more than others because they've had more experience and more research and, you know, so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean just because you have a doctor in front of your name that you know everything, because you don't. It's a matter of appreciating that and understanding it. There are some people that may have no letters beside their name, Chris, that know a lot more than somebody that's got book learning. So, you know, it's a matter of, you got to know your people and what they bring to the table, and then help them to fulfill that potential and grow in their job, and, you know, give them opportunities to grow, because most of us want to do that. I mean, we should never stop learning our whole life. Because
that'd be boring.
Well, your brain, your brain is designed to continue to create new neurons, new brain cells, as long as we're alive, but only if we challenge it to open new neural pathways. And you only do that when you're learning new things. If you're a robot, you do everything the same every day, day after day after day.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for your brain. I'm sorry. It's just not. Besides, it's boring as heck. So it's a matter of, what are you doing? And yes, most human beings don't love change and, you know, all these things. But the truth is, if you draw a line in the sand and you never cross that line, you're never going to grow as a person. You're not going to experience new things. I mean, how boring is that? I mean, it's a matter of changing your attitude. Learning something new can be exciting. It can be challenging. It can be interesting. It can provide you with new opportunities. And why wouldn't we want to do that? And why wouldn't we want to encourage others to do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, we do it in our daily life. Why don't we take it to the workplace?
Exactly. So it's just a matter of having a look at those experiences and what do we learn from them? How do we gain from them?
Yeah. May I touch on that, Carla?
What?
I think there's a big disconnect because, number one, when we do stuff at home, we do it at home because it's home. But when we go to work, number two, we let other people do those things. We hand it off to somebody. It's almost like kicking the can down the road. Oh, someone else will pick up. It's like you had all those instruments in the sink that needed to be done. We're passing the buck to somebody else. Oh, Chris will go get it, or Carla will go get it. See, again.
Well, usually it was one person going, why is it always me doing it all the time? And it's like, well, you let them. You didn't put your foot down. And what they did is they put their foot down and said, I'm not going to do it. And then other people said, well, I'm not doing them either. So they never got done. It was like two kids, you know? It reminds me of, what was it recently about the 17-year-old that was going to stab the 16-year-old because mom said to clean the house and mom's coming home. Well, I'm not cleaning, neither am I. You know, yeah, you are. You know, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, I'm just like, somebody do them. Just do them. You know, stop fighting over it. We're adults here. You know, exactly. I just don't think that there's a time and place for childish behavior in the workplace. We're here to do a job.
Yeah. Grow up.
Right. And see, for me, in my experience, that's why I'm so passion-driven, mission-driven, purpose-driven to do what we're doing together, ladies, is, number one, I know failure is the best teacher. Number one. Without that failure, you can't have success. They're interconnected. They're intertwined. You can't have success without failure. But number two, we have to be intentional in what we do and how we do things at work, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't really matter. You have to be intent on doing that. So the intention is, if you want to uplift somebody and really engage them in a great human way, you have to be intentional about it. You got to be focused. You got to be able to say, hey, it's not about me. It's about Sandy. It's about Carla. It's about Brian. It's about Tyson. And just, like I said, let that be. And again, I think what we have gotten into our psyches and into our workplaces lately, and correct me if I'm wrong, what we have done is created a culture that it is so self-centered to such a degree that we are not asking the right questions, number one, to improve ourselves. Number two, we're not setting an example to others to create that conversation that I can express my own humanity in my own unique way to be able to better Carla or to better Sandy or better myself or better each other, you know? And it's just like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because if you're in a position of leadership and you're not doing that, not only you're hurting yourself, you're hurting those very same people in turn, which will in turn not get your clients or your customers coming through your doors. I mean, what you ladies think about that?
Well, it's true, Chris. I mean, you know, if you're not helping each other, and as a leader, you need to know your people, see the potential in your people, and help them to fulfill that potential. And if you do that, everybody wins, because then they have higher self-esteem and higher self-confidence, which means they're going to do their job better. And that's beneficial not only to them, but to the team as a whole. So that's really something that a leader needs to do. They need to recognize that and help people be the best they can be. And there's, and we can help each other to do that too. If you recognize something in someone and say, Carla, you're really good at that. You should do that more often. It's just a matter of what are we doing? And I think that if that kind of behavior goes on, everybody wins, just everybody. And that's really what a team is all about. We help each other to be the best we can be, and we help each other to accomplish what we're supposed to be doing. So if somebody is busy with something else and we have a little bit of time to pick up the slack, then why wouldn't you pick up the slack? I mean, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's why you got to be looking at the big picture of what needs to be done so that we can accomplish what needs to be done. And sometimes it may be Carla's responsibility or my responsibility or Chris's responsibility. But if you guys are busy doing something else, then someone needs to step in and take care of whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what a team does.
You need to have a well-oiled machine, a well-oiled team.
Well, that's what collaboration is. We're helping each other because we have certain goals to reach and certain timelines to meet and so on and so forth. And we have to do it as a team. So I don't see why there's a problem, but it's a matter of what the attitude is. And I think if the attitude is demonstrated by the team leader that this is how we do things, and encourages people to get on board because you see that they get on board, then you're going to have a far better team in terms of function and so on and so forth. And again, this is not rocket science. I mean, it's really not. It's actually common sense. And unfortunately, not too many people seem to have any of that anymore. So it's something that needs to be demonstrated so they can see what to do.
Well, I think sometimes a leader might feel like they have a positive attitude and they're getting the point across where they're really not getting the point across. And when you feel like you're doing that, and in some respects they may even be getting that point across, but when you've got other people that are not willingly and seeing the benefit of it and getting on board with it, then you have to address those individual people.
Well, I just think they need to be encouraged. And also when they step up to the plate and do things, it needs to be acknowledged. They need to be thanked. I mean, it's not such a big deal to thank someone. I mean, and when you do, the person goes, oh, they noticed, and if they feel that they got noticed, they'll do it again. It's just a matter of, it's a lot of times, people are quickly criticized for not doing something, but it's more important to thank them when they do. So it's just a matter of how are you dealing with your colleagues? What's going on? And what sort of relationships have we established because of, what we're doing and how we're doing it? It's, again, I just don't think it's that hard, but it's a matter of how does the team function? And if they function as a team and they do things collaboratively and they help each other, there's let's help each other. How hard is that?
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was in school and I was at a practice. I might have to tell my story later.
So let me ask you this, Sandy. And one day I got to get Yale on a call because I want to hear his perspective. How has he run his law practice? Has he really embraced the very same things that we've been talking about here? Has he led with his humanity, improved the culture? I mean, how's he done that?
Well, the interesting thing about Yale is that he has been in large practices, where he was a lawyer, he was a partner in a practice. But for the last number of years, Chris, he's been a solo practitioner. He works on his own. So he only practices the kind of law that he likes to practice. And in honesty, he doesn't even have a secretary right now. So a lot of the stuff that's being done, he does all himself. Occasionally I will help him because I type faster than he does. So occasionally, if he needs a big document or something, he'll send it to me, or I'll go down to the office with him sometimes, and he just.
I hope you're paid handsomely.
I get other advantages, Carla. So I don't look for getting paid, but it's just,
I know.
It's just a matter.
Let's go to dinner every once in a while,
That happens, but it's just a matter of when he had staff and when he worked in a team, they helped each other out, and that was how the practice worked when he was in a group. Right now, he's in an office where there are some small boutique law firms, where there's 2 or 3 lawyers that are in a law firm. But most of the guys that are on the floor are single practitioners. Some of them have secretaries, some of them don't. They have a receptionist at the front. So when people get off the elevator and they want to know where their lawyer is, so she can direct them as to where their office is, whatever, if they haven't been there before. So that's the only sort of, staff member that is for everybody. But other than that, he kind of works on his own now, and he likes it because he's only working half days right now. He goes down in the morning and he comes home like he just came home. The only time he stays longer is if he's got a client that needs to come in the afternoon, or if he's got more work and he needs to stay downtown longer to get certain things done, because some of the things he does have deadlines. Mm-hmm. So sometimes he has to stay longer, but by and large, he's very independent now. We're talking about you, dear. Come here.
Sandy froze. There you go.
I'm gonna get yellow on sharing care with Sandy.
Come here.
Yeah, we froze for a second.
I can't get it out in the picture.
All right, I'll move over here.
Well, hey, Neil.
Hi.
Well, hello there, Yale.
What's going on up there?
We're
How you run your practice?
How I run my practice?
Yeah,
I run it as a single practitioner.
I know. I just said that.
I run it very.
But when you actually were in a practice, Yale, did you really embrace the culture that you really was uplifting, really engaging, and really making people feel like they're a part of something bigger?
When I started, about 50
Yes,
years ago, yes. I think most professional firms, whether it was accounting or law or even medicine, it was more compassionate, more dealing with the clients. Now they're all businesses. It's all bottom line driven, especially in the big firms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I think when you first start to practice, you want to make sure that you feel like you're a part of a team versus being in the business for a while and wanting to make everyone else feel like a part of the team.
That's right. Like I just made a doctor's appointment for just very minor surgery. And the first thing they say to me is, well, it might not be covered by MSP, so I'll give you a quote of how much you have to bring in when you come. That's how
Don't you just love it? Yeah. Hey, I can sympathize with you because when I had surgery back in December, the policy I have does not cover outpatient surgery. And of course, everything is done outpatient now these days. So I had to come up with like $6,000, which I did. And so I had gotten a bill from the specialist for some testing that they did on one of my post-op visits. And I called him and I asked him if it had gone to my insurance because I got a bill and I didn't have an explanation of benefits. That's what we get here in the United States. And they said, yeah, it went to your insurance. And I said, okay, great. So I got her name and the date and stuff and your name is, and wrote it on there. And she called me back about a half hour later. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she's going to tell me I owe her money. She says, we owe you $594.
What?
I went, what? Are you sure? She says, yeah, we owe you $594. And then she called me back a little while later. She goes, we found another 300 and something we owe you. So I'm like, oh, it's like Christmas.
That's a surprise.
Thank you. I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. But it's really sad that when you're going to have a procedure like that, you have to see the financial people first.
That's right.
Well, like when I was doing, they told me I needed surgery, and I said, okay, let's get it done. And my son was with me at this time, and he's like, you okay, Mom? I said, I don't have much of a choice here. It's either my eyesight or it's surgery. And they even called me up the day before surgery and said, are you sure you still want to go through with it? I said, what choice do I have?
Yeah.
And it was fine, but it's really sad that you have to talk to the financial people before you do anything. And people say, is it covered by my insurance?
Well, you can even take it a step further when you think about the culture aspect too, as well, Carla. Instead of talking to the financial people to get things done, you want to have to end up going to, let's say, HR and say, hey, HR, you got to be able to help me out with this because my boss is not really working well with me today. And how do I solve this thing because they're not working well with me and whatever the case may be. And you expect HR to take care of it when in fact it should be the person of leadership to do that. So there's always some kind of funnel that goes in the wrong direction to say, hey, you got to go here. Well, why do I have to go there? Can I just go directly to the source? I mean, come on.
Yeah. You have to go up, as they call in the military, the chain of command.
Exactly.
Whereas
So,
if we all got together to begin with and got along together and helped each other out, we wouldn't even have to have that conversation.
That's
exactly. I agree. Yale,
Yes.
we got to get you on more calls. Well, we appreciate your experience and your expertise with us today. I greatly appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sandy, your husband is a godsend. I thank you for having him on today.
He's a keeper.
Of course, he's a keeper. That's why
Yeah, a cameo appearance.
Cameo, yes. That's how a good husband and wife works. You know, you be able to say, "I do for you, you do for me."
Well, we have very different backgrounds, Chris, which is useful. You know, I think I told you guys before, when our kids have a health issue, or they have a people issue, okay, or a food issue, you know, with menus and stuff, they come to me. If they have a tax issue or a legal issue or a contract issue, they go to Yale. I mean, that's just how it works, because we have very different backgrounds, and for the different kinds of help that the kids need at different times, they know who to talk to. I mean, I think I told you before, Yale has a calculator in his brain. You know, he can do.
Yeah. Well, you covered all the bases, though.
Well, yeah.
You cover all the bases that way.
Yes, we do. And so it's lucky for the kids, and it's good for us. I don't worry about, you know, some of the money stuff. I have an understanding of it because Yale's actually sat down and explained certain things to me. But it's something that, because he's got his accounting background and his business background and his legal background, a lot of this stuff is just, you know, it's easy for him because it's what he does. That's why it's always funny when we go shopping, you know, and he comes up to the cash. He tells the cashier what the bill is going to be. You know,
my husband did that to me when we were selling our house 5 years ago, and we had one buyer within 24 hours, and his financing fell through, and then we had another buyer. And you know how they go through and do the inspections, and they give you the list of things that they want to have done. Well, the one guy had like 4 or 5 things. The other one came up with this huge laundry list, and we just said, "Oh, no way. And we weren't going to come down on the price either, because we had already come down on it. And the real estate agent went back and said, "No, they're not going to negotiate." Well, if they're not going to negotiate, no, we'll put it back on the market. So within a week, we had another offer, and they went through their whole thing, and they wanted their list of things to be done, and we said no. And they came back and said, okay, so they're going to forgo all that. They want this, that, and the other done for X price. And I'm like repeating it on the phone. We were standing in my bathroom, and I'm repeating it on the phone, and my husband says, "Take it." And I looked at him like he was crazy. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, "I'll show you. You're going to get exactly what you wanted out of the house." And I'm like, "Okay, Larry, we'll take it." I got off the phone and said, "How do you do this?" And that's just the way his brain works.
Yeah. Yale's the same. Like when we go to Costco, we only go like every few months, and I always have a list about this long.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to know anything I'm putting in the basket, what it is. And by the time we get to the cashier and we're standing in line, he tells me it's going to be X. And I go, "How do you know that?" "Well, you know me, I've already added it up."
Yeah.
And if he tells the cashier, they kind of look at him, and then it's usually very close. He's very close.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, I think I told you, he worked in his parents' store from the time he was 5 years old. And as a 5-year-old, he could make change. The customers were just shocked, but he knew what to do.
25-year-olds that can't make change.
True. So it's just a matter of how does your brain work? How does it work? And
25-year-olds don't even count change, And if you pay with your change and you'll say, "Hey, did I give you enough?" "Oh, I don't know. I didn't count it."
Yeah.
"Well, I gave you 20, so give me back $19, okay?" They look at you like,
exactly.
"Huh?" Yeah.
Exactly. So, Sandy, what would be the call to action when it comes to culture?
Well, I think that any organization that has leadership that is committed to establishing and maintaining a positive, respectful, encouraging, supportive, and acknowledging culture is going to have a successful, long-lasting business, because they will have very little turnover, and they will have very happy customers, clients, patients, whatever you want to call it. Therefore, they're going to be successful. And if in that business we have teamwork where everybody helps everybody else, and we're always looking to see how everything can just keep running smoothly and helping each other in that way, there's no way that business is going to fail, Chris. There's no possible way. But it's a matter of, it has to start with the leadership, and they've got to model the behaviors and, walk the walk. Talking the talk is very nice, but it doesn't work unless you're actually doing it. And as I said, if you see the team leader or the boss sweeping the floor, or, making phone calls or stuff like this because it needed to be done, you're going to step back and go, "Whoa, the boss actually did that." You wouldn't think that they would do that. Well, it was something that needed to be done. There was nobody else doing it at the moment, so they just picked up the slack and took care of it. That's a great example of how teamwork should work. And, if you have a team leader that behaves in that way, you're probably going to have a more successful team, because if they see that happens, then, heck, why wouldn't I do that, if they're going to do it? So it's just a matter of what example are you setting? And I think that, again, like I've said before, just because somebody has an idea for a business, even if it's a great idea, doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be a good boss. So it doesn't mean their business will be successful. And it's one of the reasons why so many small businesses fail, because the person who started it didn't know what to do. They just didn't know how to hire people. They didn't know how to keep people. They didn't know how to deal with their customers appropriately, all those kinds of things. And if you don't, and you don't have an open mind to learn and get some coaching and whatever else you need, you're going to struggle. Yeah, you're going to really struggle. So, and again, none of this stuff is rocket science. I mean, it's just not. But it takes effort, and it takes some concentration in terms of, paying attention to your people. And of course, the bottom line is you got to have really good communication skills, because you've got to be listening and paying attention and being able to get your message across with clarity and impact and influence. And if you can do those things, you're going to be far more successful. It's just a matter of understanding what is necessary. And if you understand what's necessary, then you can gain some of the skills that you need and get the help that you need so that you can do what's necessary to create that culture and maintain it. It's not that hard. It's really not. But it's something that has to be done. It has to come from the top. And once the team sees that, the team leader's on board, well, why wouldn't they get on board?
The team is only going to do half of what you do as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to emulate what you do and do half of that.
Yeah.
So you've got to go over and above if you want to get the results that you want.
For sure.
Correct.
And that's why, as I said, you got to walk the walk. You're not walking the walk. Nobody cares. Talking the talk is very nice, but that doesn't mean you're doing anything.
Talk is talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk is deep. It's very deep. So you got to roll up your sleeves and just get involved. And if you do that and you show your team that you're willing to do that and even do certain things that you would never expect a team leader to do, then, you know, they're going to go, oh, they did that. Well, I guess, you know, better pay attention. And next time that's them, and, you know, I should do it, whatever. It's just a matter of, and again, a team leader needs to acknowledge the contributions of the people on the team and thank them. It's not very hard to do. You know, a simple thank you goes a long, long way because it just
does.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, not that hard.
Yep. So ladies, I'm so appreciative for you taking on these calls each and every single week and every single day. You're great, Sandy. I love you. Carla, you're so well versed in so many different things that I could possibly can't even imagine to do what you do. Because
Oh, yeah, you
like I
can.
said,
If I can do them, you can do them.
I know it. But
I
you
just
know,
have
I'm
to
just
be a
saying.
leader and instill that confidence in you that you can do it.
I know it. That's what you're doing every
And if
single
we
day.
don't know how to
That's
do it,
what
we
you are.
figure out how to do it.
That's right. That's right. So, ladies,
That's
I
why
really
Google's so good.
Well, we've done that before on the live stream.
Yeah,
we
we
have
have.
actually done it Google
Yeah.
Chat. Yes, we have.
I don't know how to do that. Let's ask Google. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the next topic we'll do. How to ask Google how to create a great team. Let's see what Google says. Okay,
Okay.
ladies, it's
We'll
been
have to
fun.
Google that and see what we get. Everybody Google it, and then we'll share what we found out.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, catch
I'm
you
sure
ladies.
Sandy's already
tomorrow.
written a book on it, though. You know,
I'm sure.
she wrote it for Google.
All right, ladies. We'll see you tomorrow on Conversation for Humanity.
I've got it on my calendar.
Bye, Chris. Bye,
Yes,
Sandy.
ma'am.